Today we are going to talk about the importance of mentorship groups. Okay, so this is gonna be useful for a lot of the folks in the audience. Cool. So I'm actually not going to share my screen because I'm just gonna talk through it, and you folks should have the access to this document. Okay. Okay. All right. So importance of mentorship groups. Who are they, what they are. And yeah, so a little bit about my journey. I started my single family investing career in 2014 when I bought a condo in the Bay Area. I house hacked that. Then 2016, I bought another house. 17 bought another house, 18 bought another house, and then 19 bought another house. I did my very first syndication in 2019. Okay. And 2017, my friend invited me to join a mentorship group. And I went to Texas. I did not like it. I thought it was super salesy. And but 2018 I joined. So then the question is, what happened between 2018, 2016 and 2018? What happened in those 2 years that when I went back, I joined a mentorship group? I will jump to the conclusion. The conclusion is without a mentorship group, there is no way that I am where I am today. No, for better, for worse. Without a mentorship group, there's almost no way that I can accelerate the transition to become a general partner in real estate and then finding cash flow portal. So I owed many, many things to the mentorship group, regardless how good they are and being perceived and so on. And so what happened in 2016 and 2018? Well, by 2017, I have bought like 3 single families and we purchased a 7-unit in Tacoma. So at this point, it's like plus the more. And we were trying to buy a 20-unit apartment complex in Washington, in Seattle, Washington. And that one was a $3.5 million purchase price. And it's a 20-unit 3.5 back in 2017. So we made this offer. After multiple back and forth, I got outbid. I should create like a very, very polished kind of like a offering memorandum or like a pitch deck for that one. It's like amazing Google spreadsheet. And I think that Google document plus the Google spreadsheet got spread around quite a bit because I didn't know what I was doing. I just like created this beautiful like Google Doc. And we actually end up not getting the deal. That's because they awarded to a different buyer. And that buyer is someone who is local to Seattle, and they owned about 200 units in Seattle. And they also owned a property management company. They are vertically integrated. And so that was the time in which I learned that even though I have multiple single families, in order to break into the space, the more you do it, the better you become, the more you get unfair advantage. And during that time, I was also transitioning to becoming engineering manager at Khleif. And the reason I go from a software engineer to an engineering manager was for the same reason, which is there are certain positions that the more time you spend on it, the more unfair advantage you have. The more people perceive you to be good, whether it's actually good, true or not, that's not true. The more years you have, like a 20-year, a manager that has been a manager for 20 years is not necessarily better than a manager that has been a manager for 5 years. You can plateau, but at least people perceive you to be that way because you have more experience. And commercial real estate is literally the same thing. The more time you spend in the game, the better. So if I had to pick a system where more time means better, it sucks in the beginning, but it is a system, it's a game I want to play because the more I play, the better I am getting perceived out, unfairly. So I was like, okay, I like this game. But in order to join the game, I also learned my first mistake. We got rejected. We did not get the offer, even though I spent a lot of time on it. And I remember I told my business partner, it's like, oh, that sucks. We did not get this 20 unit. I also remember the next day I woke up, I was like super happy. I'm like, you know what? I'm so glad we lost that deal because if we were to get that deal, I would be forever tied to Seattle. And I don't really want to buy that many more properties in Seattle. I want to diversify anyway. And to lose this deal, it means that we need to go bigger. We should not be buying a 20 unit. We should be buying a 100 unit. And sure enough, the next year I joined the mentorship group. And so that tells you that kind of whole experience told you the microcosm of why a mentorship group is important. And mentorship group is super important if you want to make offers in certain states, such as Dallas, Florida, and Georgia, and Tennessee, and so on. And you just say, I'm part of this mentorship group, and they will take you seriously. Because to not take you seriously, it will mean disrespecting the entire mentorship group. And the vendors don't want to do that. So it's a very, very interesting thing. You went from nobody to someone that has the backings of a program behind you. And so to disrespect you is to disrespect the group. And so the vendors take you more seriously. So that's the first thing. The second thing that is super useful about the mentorship group is that you're going to hear all kinds of where the wind is blowing. You know which property management company is good, which property manager is good, which vendor is good, which vendor you don't want to work with, which designer is good, which due diligence person is good. And so that is not something, time is money and money is wealth. And the more you can spend, the more you can save on time, the faster you go, and the more wealth you generate. So that's the second one, which is this collective gossiping of within the program. And the third thing that I thought was important is, so we on this 20 unit in Seattle, we could have gotten it by offering a 3.55 million. So the original price is 3.5, and the other buyer also offered 3.5. And we could have gotten it by offering $50,000 more, so 3.55. And so I did the math. I'm like, if we offer 3.55, this is ours. And in retrospect, if we paid 3.55, we'll have made tons of money because that's back in 2017. Everything was shooting up anyway. So in retrospect, that was a perfectly good universe that I could have gone down on. But then I did the math. Me and my real estate business partner, $50,000. That's basically paying $50,000 extra for this property. Why don't we spend $25K each, me and my real estate business partner, same thing, $50,000, and pay a mentorship group? That basically will pay dividends going forward, right? And so when you amortize the money that way, it's like, okay, this is actually not that bad. We're gonna make back that money pretty soon. And so the third point, the third advantage of a mentorship group is that you will make less silly mistakes. And that's because someone is looking at it. A coach or someone is looking at your underwriting and say, hey, this makes no sense. Don't buy this deal. Hey, you look at this, look at their rent roll, and you will see that this is all fake. Like these people are not real, or da da da. Or I look at the T12. You can see here, they have a lot more marketing expenses in the last few months. That means they're probably doing something fishy. And so avoidance of a bad deal can really save you $50,000. And so $25,000 each at least. And so that's the third advantage, which is treat that money that you will have to spend anyway in order to buy your very first multifamily. Like that money you need to spend anyway. There's no way of getting around it. And so by joining a mentorship group, you may be able to pay less on your actual property because you have the backing, you have the reputation, you have, all these accredited like other GPs with a track record on it. Okay. So that's the reasons for joining. Now, the con of that is for a lot of people, it's an investment. It is about $25,000, $30,000 to join, and you're not guaranteed to get a deal. And so it is an investment without a definitive return, right? And so you could be throwing $25,000 there. The other reason not to join is kind of every mentorship guru has a personality that doesn't necessarily gel with their members. The gurus are usually extroverted. They're usually pompous, usually quiet, flashy, and extravagant, and flamboyant. And that is why they become coaches in the first place. And even if they don't become coaches and become these mentorship leaders, you know what? They probably like everyone else, they need to learn on how to throw a good party. And in order to do that, they will learn from the speech, performance coaches who tell them to become more flamboyant and outgoing and so on. So I actually know a lot of these mentorship leaders that are actually introverts, but they became extroverts on stage. And so I actually think that that's not really their fault. That's just the necessity of doing business in this field. Like every person Grant Cardone, um, you know, all these people. Who's the other person that's super well known? I forgot, but they're all very outgoing, right? Okay, so those are the comps. Is you may not like their personality, and it does cost money without a definitive return. So that's the context. I'm going to talk about what mentorship groups are good in what kind of things, but before I do, and this will be especially relevant to someone who are new, and Chris, this will be especially relevant to you. But before them, any questions on the context? Any questions before I move on to the different mentorship groups? Okay. Cool. All right. So let's talk about different mentorship groups. So the mentorship groups that I know in multifamily, because that's the area that I came from. Let me just write down in our weekly webinar. So I'm gonna share my screen actually this time. So coming here. All right. So mentorship groups, we have Khleif, we have Michael Blanc, we have Brad Sumrok, we have Jake and Gino. We have RaiseMasters. We have, I think that's pretty much it, right? Anyone else that you can think of? There are others as well, but do you folks know other mentorship groups? By the way, Paul, you sent a link. Is that your mentorship group?
No, that's out of the Kaufman Foundation. That's a general mentorship group for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So it's more general, where I think you're listing mentorship groups or support groups that are specific to commercial real estate investing, development, management.
That's right. Exactly. Okay. So I'm gonna come in here and then go to resources and vendors, and then I click on mentorship group. So let's just raise. So yeah, Khleif, RaiseMaster. Most of our customers are Khleif, RaiseMasters, Michael Blanc, Sumrok. Yeah, those are the top 5. Oh yeah, Fund Launch. How can I forget about this? Yeah, Fund Launch / Black Car. Yeah, I love that. That's and then there's the Vertical Street Ventures, Good Egg, 7, Connected Capital. There's Connected Capital. I like Connected Capital. And then there is also Greystone Mastermind. Greystone Mastermind. Okay, so these are new. Okay, and then these are Vertical Street Ventures. All right, cool. All right, so these are the mentorship groups. I will only comment on the first few, and so I'm gonna go down this list and like what's good, what's good, what's good. Okay. What's good about Khleif is that Ra has high integrity. Ra is held up flamboyant on social media, but after I got to know him, he has high integrity. And how do I know he has high integrity? I went to some of their masterminds, and his direct reports were joking around him. They were making jokes. They were very casual, and they were very by themselves. They're not afraid of Ra. And I'm like, whatever team you build, you can build this kind of team. You're pretty good. And yeah, the more I got to know him, the more I found like, man, this guy is high integrity. And this is reflected in that during the last 2 or 3 years, Rod's program continue to climb. And so I respect that. Like a lot of the other mentorships kind of like start losing members, but their mentorship still continue to increase. So good for them. So that's the pro. The pro of Michael Blanc is that one-time payment. There's no annual payment, not that I know of. The other pro of Michael Blanc is the OG in this area. So Michael Blanc started with a few units, and then they scale up to a large unit. And so, yeah, Michael Blanc is and then also an engineer at heart. Okay, so they're engineer, they're probably introverted, but they spend the time to become more extroverted on stage. Okay. Brad Sumrok is also a previous engineer. Brad Sumrok actually went to Carnegie Mellon, and the things I said here, like, you're probably not gonna find them on the internet. Brad Sumrok was actually, I think, the salutatorian in high school, so he's smart. Like they know what they're doing. Like so, Brad Sumrok was a very analytical, just happens to be a mentorship group leader. Okay, so he's smart. Like they know what they're doing. And then the pro is the students are some of the smartest people I have met. I joined Brad Sumrok. Without this program, there's no way I'm gonna buy a multifamily in 2019, and we bought 172 units. And most of that is due to the fact he introduced us to this whole system. Okay, all right. Jake and Gino, the pro is a community. Like people love each other. You are inside the circle, inside the circle. Yeah, he's a huge community. And this is like a good relationships being built. Okay, they really focus on doing the right thing for other folks. Okay, by the way, I'm talking about multifamily mentorship groups. Okay, mostly multifamily or slash fund. I'm not talking about single family. And if I want to talk about single family, by far I really like the Springboard which is a Thach Nguyen. Yeah, Thach Nguyen. By the way, just to be clear, on Springboard, I have not joined that, but I really like them, and I know multiple students came from Springboard. Springboard, well, they are nationwide. I think there might be the second largest single family mentorship in the US. So okay. RaiseMasters, the pro is focus on equity raising. And then the other pro is I focus on all asset classes. Okay. A pro I focus on content creation, lead capture, etc. So RaiseMasters is kind of the gold standard almost for if you want a program that can help you raise more money, and this is the program to join. It's not necessarily focused on underwriting. They don't. They're all asset classes, and a lot of people in RaiseMasters want to develop a content game where they can post on social media, YouTube, etc., to raise awareness with and connect with their audience. Okay. The pro of a fund launch and slash black card is focused on funds across all asset classes. The pro is that it's got a community that is pretty impressive, that I will say. Okay. And then the other pro is that the leader seems genuine, and they are very good at like production, media production, and modern stage presence. So they are really good with that. Out of all the conferences I've been to, Fund Launch is by far the most modern. Like their production quality is really one of a kind. Okay. Vertical Street Ventures is they are good operators themselves. The other pro is that they are kind and good people in general. And there is a program where is a higher tiers allow you a opportunity to be a co-GP. Basically, if you pay this one, it's basically like, hey, if you join and you commit it, this is your silver plate. Here's your co-GP position, Okay, so there's that. Connected Capital is based on fund of funds. This is also a mastermind. The other pro is the leaders are also operators slash like fund of fund managers themselves. Okay, and so this is a focus on capital raising. Okay, they're not necessarily operators of the actual real estate. They're operators of the fund. So you can say that Connect Capital more or less maybe is in the same realm as Fund Launch, but like most people, they actually join multiple. So I'm a GP, for example. I can join Fund Launch to meet with a bunch of people. I can join with Connected Capital, and so I learn how a fund of fund managers work. And I can also join RaiseMasters to focus on kind of like how do I do content creation and so on and so forth. Okay. The Greystone Capital, the pro is that their leader is really has very high integrity. Like that's good operator. The leader is a good operator. Leader is a good operator. The other pro is that very hands on, very hands on. Okay, and the other pro is like feels like a close mastermind slash family. I like them a lot. Okay. And then Springboard here is the people are really good. Okay, people are really good. And then like very smart folks in the program. So I went to a few Seattle chapters, and like 60% of them like work at Amazon and Microsoft. I'm like, okay, almost every one of them bought a house at this point. So like, you know, as you can see, the way I pick programs is not really. I focus a little bit on the leader, but I should focus on the who are the people that came out. So there's that. Okay. All right. So these are the pros. Okay. Um. So if you want to do multifamily, you basically these are the programs you can join, and I will recommend that you go talk to all of them and then see kind of what your vibe on them, and then maybe you know someone who is part of that program and so on. Okay, so that's that. Let me pause there for any questions. What they do, what are the other pros before I go into some of the cons. Yeah, so far, which one do you like better the most, Chris, based on what you want?
Actually, well, I did want to mention I see a lot of Rod's stuff on Instagram, so it's good to know that yeah, you have a good word for him because
Mm-hmm.
he seems like that. He seems very plain. I've seen like he puts clips, so I do
Mm-hmm.
um like you were saying, he laughs at his the clips that he posts and stuff like that. And then also
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Thatch's stuff too, and that's I'm kind of between two worlds of single family versus multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also good to know because I see a lot of his stuff too, and I watch all
Mm-hmm.
his videos. So it is good to know that you have a good word for him too. So
I do. I
that
do.
does
I
help a lot.
can I
Yeah.
can literally vouch for them. And so like this is a very interesting talk because how flamboyant they might seem on social media does not have a direct correlation with their competency. Um,
Yeah.
I like that is something I need to learn. And so don't judge the people by what they do. They might just be the product of the medium they are in. Like if you're not that, um, if you're not that, you cannot excel on an Instagram game,
Yeah.
right?
I think that's why like having a good word from someone like you kind of
Mm-hmm.
makes all the difference because I know on social media you can be trained, like you said, to be energetic, flamboyant, stuff like that, but for someone to have a good word for you, it's hard.
Yeah.
One question I did have is, um, how do you like, how local
Mm-hmm.
focus? Because I remember you said like, because you were Brad Sumrok, and then you
Mm-hmm.
said it helped you with Texas, like
Yeah.
that area was very focused. Um, say, uh, like one of these mentorship groups are based out of one state. How transferable is that name sort of nationwide? I know, I guess it varies, but something like either Rod's thing or Thatch's thing, or single family versus multifamily,
Mm-hmm.
how does that name kind of carry, I guess, outside of Seattle for him? And then I forget, I think
Mm-hmm.
Rod's like Florida, but that kind
Yeah,
of idea.
exactly. What area do you want to buy? Do you want to buy locally, which is in Pennsylvania area?
Yeah, I think I've
Yeah,
settled locally, at least for the
I love
time
that.
being. Yeah.
So here's a classic example. The answer is you want to find if you are in a secondary market that may not have that many presence from these programs, then you want to find almost the community that has the largest number of people because it will spill over into that area. Now, if you want to do multifamily, there's almost you pretty much could not join Springboard,
Yeah.
right? Like and like Thach actually has people in all over the country. They're just in Seattle they talk about different things than different parts of the country, right? So if you want to do multifamily, basically your choices are like these four,
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah. And so all of them, I think that Khleif has the largest number of students right now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was saying. By the way,
Yeah.
just so as a disclaimer, nobody, not a single one of these people pay us anything for me to say this. Okay, this is just like literally my opinion.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's that. Okay, so yeah, so you want to pick the program that has the largest number of people. Okay, now if you say, I actually gel with the people in Jake and Gino better, or Michael Blanc better, or I found exactly a couple people that like doing Pennsylvania, that could change the equation. So there's that. Okay. All right. So let me talk about some of the cons. And to be clear, like we like all of them, and we don't want this thing to be like a battle. I don't want once this gets released, it's like, yeah, Perry is bashing on this like mentorship group. Now that's not our purpose. This is just a way. That's my opinion, not the opinion of the company. Okay. So in terms of the con, yeah, like people may have preconceived notions of Rock's program based on social media. Okay. The other con of Khleif is because of that preconceived notion, okay, the average quality of students may not be as technical or analytical. They are more like people like, I want to like be like I want to make a wealth in real estate, and they may not be as technical or analytical. I'm sorry for saying that, but that's a con, right? So that's Khleif. With the Michael Blanc is that it's smarter. You can call it more hands-on. The con, that's that. And then the con there is that after the students kind of like get a hang of it, hang of it, it doesn't exactly scale up to more students. Yeah, like they basically, like once they get a hang of it, they kind of like disperse and do their own thing. So there's no like no in depth no like kind of like progressive training for folks who are experts. Okay, so there's that. Okay, that's Michael Blanc. And because maybe that's also tied to the one-time fee, like you pay a one-time fee, but since there's no more fee coming in, there's not much like attention to you anymore after like a couple of years, right? I hope that makes sense. The con is with Sumrok is that, yeah, there's also the preconceived notion of presentation. The other con of this one is this actually applies to all deals, and I don't want to label this on Sumrok. Because of their scale and OG-ness, because Sumrok was like back in the day, Sumrok was the Ivy League of this education. People came out of there doing big deals. Because of their scale and OG-ness, they also took the blunt of bad deals / publicity. And I want to be super clear. This is not limited to Brad's program. Okay, it's across the board. We are only paying attention to them. It's because of the size of their deals. So like Brad Sumrok does bigger deals, probably followed by Michael Blanc, probably followed by Khleif, and then finally followed by Khleif. So Brad Sumrok does the biggest deals, probably like twice as big as the next player in line. Okay, so because of they're doing bigger deals, like hundreds of millions, they get more publicity. But I want to be super clear. That's not just because them. It's not the program, in my opinion. It's just the economy. Okay, so that's that. Like every one of them made the same mistake with the floating interest rates. There's no one of them that's exempt from this list. But because of the size of it, it becomes more popular on the news. Okay, so that's that. Okay. Jake in general, the con is that there are not that many syndicators, mostly focused on like JV. Okay. The other pro, by the way, a lot of great real estate investors in that one. Just kind of like investors are doing their own deals. Okay. So they very much focus on managing right, finance right, and they are good operators. The con of them is there are not that many syndicates. So if you want to learn the process of like syndication, there's actually not that much. But if you want to learn the process of asset management, it's a great program. So if you want to be a syndicator, and that's why the other con is maybe the smaller deals as a result. Okay, not their fault, simply because JV deals tend to be smaller, right? So if you want to do like a 200 unit, not that many people in Jake and Gino do a 200 unit or 500 unit, besides the Jake and Gino themselves. Okay, and even they do it, they don't really borrow money. They are focused on like growing organically using your own money as opposed to using others' money. I will say Jake and Gino and RaiseMaster are literally the complete opposite. Jake and Gino focus on their own money, and RaiseMaster is all about other people's money, right? And so the con of this one is like perceived as a marketing program, as opposed to a like a real estate program. Okay, so like basically RaiseMasters is teaching you how to be on presence. Okay, and the con is that marketing is hard. After a while, people don't succeed. Not everyone is cut out to be a good marketer. Yeah, and so as a result, it's a good education, but not necessarily something that can deepen your kind of real estate knowledge. And so, like, this is not a knock on RaiseMaster as a program. It's like any program that want to teach you on how to be a YouTuber or Instagram influencer will fail, because there is a lot of luck and intrinsic personality and presentation involved. And there are certain people that either don't put in the time, don't have the consistency, and don't have the personality, or don't have the will to do it, including myself, right? And so like it's for that type. But it's a good education to learn that, to know that there's that world out there. Okay. All right. Let me pause there. I know we have a few more to go, and I'm not as familiar with these programs as I was with the previous. So far, makes sense? Or any questions on these in terms of the cons or the pros? I hope that's useful. All right. Now the next one is about fund launch / black card. The con of the black card / fund launch is that they are also early fund managers, and most fund managers do not end up being successful. And so the average tenure is so like is they'll end up being successful, not because the program is not good. It's just that's the nature. If you want to be a business owner and a fund manager is creating a business, it's really hard. And so the average quality is a emerging, fund manager quality. Okay. So if I meet someone, a fund manager, a typical fund manager from a black card program, and then compare them to a typical person, say from Sumrok, almost everyone in Sumrok has done a deal. They are a co-GP, or somehow they are a lead GP on a deal, because that's just who they are. They're like super analytical. And with the fund launch members, maybe it's a newer program, the average person hasn't raised more than $1 million on the fund launch. And and it's in general, it's harder to raise for a fund than for a syndication, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, Vertical Street Ventures. The con here is a smaller program, and the con here is they are not focused that much on mentorships as the other groups. So Vertical Street Ventures is that they have the knowledge, they want to do this, and they started the program, but it's not clear how much they want to invest into this program. So they are kind of like a plateauing in terms of their energy into growing the program. Okay, Connected Capital is also a newer program, and then the other con is that focus on fund of funds. So not really underwriters. They don't know much. They teach you, but when you are focused on fund of funds, your job is to raise money, and there's the raising money crowd, and then there's the operator crowd. And then, if you're raising money, you focus also like marketing, that kind of thing, and so on. And then the other kind is just a smaller program, so you don't have as much kind of gossip in terms of like, it's not concentrated, so you don't know all the cool things out there. And when you go to the nice thing about going to, and I keep going back to Sumrok because that's the one I had the most reference on. They are focused on Texas. They know basically every person in Texas when it comes to multifamily. So you get this amazing kind of insider information. Whereas with Connected Capital, it's just all over the country. So you don't get that necessarily. Okay. So that's why I'll say. Greystone, the other pro is that very focused on certain markets. Okay, that's nice. The con is also smaller, emerging, starting out. The other con is that it's not clear that the leader wants to grow this into a professional program with lots of kind of events and so on. So it's like more like niche, it's like mastermind and then boutique. I think they just like an operator, and they just want to do this to either help people or to like get no more capital raisers. And instead of like, this is my mission, I want to grow this into a big thing. So that has its own implications there. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Cool. All right. And then the last one here, the Springboard Wealth is like not for multifamily, not for syndications. Sorry. And then the other con is mostly focused on single family. And then the other con here is they are not for syndications. So it's like, because of that, you don't really join if you're not a syndicator. Now you could still join to just meet like really good single family operators. And I do know a lot of people who do that. And they're like really, really cool. And then because multifamily in general has more kind of like analytical folks than single family. Most people that go into multifamily came from single family, right? So the average kind of analytical quality might be lower. However, the counterpoint is that they know way more than I do on single family at this point. Like, they know all the laws, they know those detached dwelling units, they know ADUs, they know development, they know all kinds of things. So that I don't think that's necessarily a con. They just specialize into single family. All right. So that's the pros and cons. That's why I was saying. What do you think, Chris or Paul? I know, Paul, this might be not in your wheelhouse per se, but yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not an operator, right? So that's not my expertise, and more on the financing side, the fund or fund of funds expertise.
Yep. So, and then how did you learn this fund of funds? From a mentorship group or by yourself?
Yeah, so I've been in early stage venture capital for almost 10 years, and then I'm actually a finance professor at a university. So it's just a natural fit with what I do for a living, and it gets me out of my office and gets me into kind of practice. So that's the practice portion of what I do.
I love that. That's so cool. Very cool. Do you have a lot of experience with fund administration?
I'm launching my first fund by myself. So I just started to onboard investors about 2 weeks ago. Besides that, it was through a network, and you would essentially outsource a lot of the stuff. You're focused on raising capital, right? You're marketing, getting in the investors, and then you simply outsourced a lot of the work to other people who specialized in doing what they do, the marketing, the documents, the filing. And yeah, now I'm trying to bring a lot of those expertise in-house and do it myself.
That makes a lot of sense, and you see a more complete picture, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Carta is a big name, right? So you can kind of outsource everything to Carta if you want to do a fund, and it makes it easy for you. But then you pay for that service, and now I'm trying to essentially try to do a lot of that in house.
I love that. Makes sense. Yep. Yeah. So, by the way, that actually reminds me, if you talk to, folks in the multifamily crowd and the single family crowd, like the single family crowd will not be able to necessarily understand that, like, oh, why do you need a software to raise money? Like, couldn't you just send them a DocuSign? And then when you are actually raising, anytime when you have more than 20 investors, you're pulling your hair out. It's like, why? Yes, this is why, because I need to send the documents. They need to know their distribution, da da da. Yeah. And so that's why they're kind of like two separate crowds. Yeah. Excellent. Chris, based on what you know, what do you think? Which one of those will be your top picks in terms of joining?
So I think Rod's probably is, if I had to choose one, it'd probably be more towards Rod's. I mean, because even before this, I've seen his stuff, and I mean, normally I'm kind of turned off by a lot of these kind of gurus because it feels very almost like gimmicky.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he doesn't sell as hard in your face. He kind of almost mentions it as like a side thing, like, oh, I also do. Whereas a lot of times, the only videos you see from these people is like, I'm holding an event, come to my free event, which leads to a paid event, to another paid event, to my paid mentorship. Whereas a lot of his things start with something, a concept, and then he kind of just at the end mentions like, hey, I'm doing so and so. If you ever feel like checking it out, that's fine. Same thing with Thach, which I think is why I like both those two, whether single family or multifamily, is the course is almost secondary to, they put out so much content that the course is almost secondary to, like, if you want to do like the extra step, you can like pay and kind of learn more that way.
Yeah, that's right. And they do it intentionally in some ways, and that's their job, and so on. And yeah, I will wrap this up by saying this meta point, which is the evolution of an investor / a business owner. Whenever you want to invest in your education, I gave the example of why did I not join from 2016 to 2018. And then it's not until I lost on that very first deal, the multifamily, that I couldn't get it, that because of the $50,000 difference, I would have gotten it. I decided to spend that $50,000 for the mentorship between my business partner and me, right? He paid 25, I paid 25. So the evolution of an investor is just like doing it by myself, turn off by the marketing materials of the gurus. Okay. Convinced that there are like, notice that there are some benefits of joining a community. Okay. And then that kind of entrance fee is the cost of doing business. Realize that entrance fee is the cost of doing business. Maximize the relationships, or maybe optimize for relationships among the members within that community, and then expand and repeat. So every time when I try to do something like multifamily, I try to do it by myself, and I don't want to join. And then I realize, okay, maybe I should join. I did join. I liked it. It's useful. And then, at some point, outgrow the community, and then find another kind of tangential thing to do. So like in my case, it was single family going to multifamily. I did all these steps, doing it by myself, getting turned off, joining, cost of business, building relationships. And then I was like, I'm gonna create a software. Well, I'm gonna do it by myself. I fail multiple times. I get turned off by all these like founder group mentorship groups, masterminds. I noticed that there are some benefits of the community, and I'm like, okay, fine. If for $5,000 I can be part of that, group, which we share things. yeah, I'll do it. And then and then maybe I will outgrow it. Maybe our business does really well, and most of the people there are like Series B or Series A or C, and we're like Series C now. Like you outgrow it, and then you expand and repeat. Now, some people go on this like every year. Every year they join a new community. That's not me. I basically join one maybe every 5 years, which is more than normal. Okay, yeah. Cool. And then you, Paul, you share a couple of links with us here. Oh, I love this. Yeah. This is a underwriting model. That's right. I know about this one. What do you want to comment on this one?
Yeah, so I think this is one website that I use to help my students develop their models, right? And this other one is more along the lines of creating a feel, right? It's more geared towards small commercial real estate developers and investors. And I think it started here in the Southeast, maybe in Atlanta.
There are
It's
probably
helping you navigate some of the political processes that you go through in order to get a project approved.
I see. Got it. I love this. Yeah, there are probably like 5 or 10 different groups that I've never heard of. This is awesome. I love it. Dang, this is great. By the way, here is a great library. I would love also for you to have them check out the underwriting software of Cashflow Portal. And I think they can also learn a lot about multifamily underwriting through this process. Not for ventures, by the way, not for fund of funds. But if they want to underwrite a real estate, a multifamily property, and that's actually really good to know, which we showed the demo like a few months ago.
Yeah. So if you're a student, would you have access to that, or would you actually have to have a subscription to
Good question.
Cashflow Portal?
For your students, underwriting is separate, but because of the students and they come through you, just let us know who are the students, and we are more than happy to give them a student discount.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So there are 2 parts. It is a paid service. And if you look at pricing, it's a la carte, which means that you don't have to pay for Investor Portal in order to pay for the underwriting. But because just like Adobe and all these other softwares, if you are a student, we also give you a discount. And so we're gonna give you a humongous discount for if they're part of a student group. Yeah. So
okay.
Great. Cool. All right. So that's that. So yeah. These are the things about the mentorship groups. And as you can see, there is no one size fits all. Their mentorship groups themselves are not a high flying business. They are subject to the whims of the economy. And at the end of the day, I do believe that every mentorship group I ever joined, I got something very, very valuable out of it. And I would definitely not be where I am today without them. And so I don't know why. I just don't know why. I think it's the same line of reasoning to say, why do I give Y company their 7%? But I go back and say, like, without YC, like, we will not be where we are. That 7% is 100% worth it. I don't know why I say that, but that's how I feel. Yeah. And so, yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. All right.
Thank
See
you.
you next month.